Hi friends, my name is Jake. Welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at a multifunction tool by TwoSun. This is the TS206. Comes in three colors, orange, black, and digital camo. It comes with a slip joint blade, nice drop point blade in 14C28N, or you can get it in sort of a drop point then with a tanto, a Western tanto. So that's 6 different ways it comes. You also have a wood saw in here, you've got a pair of scissors, and you've got an awl on the back, and of course you've got a lanyard post. How much does this knife cost? Well, at White Mountain Knives it is $33.99 American. That's the best price by far that you can find it. I'll leave some other links down below where you can get it, like on Amazon, $45, DHGate, AliExpress, those are Chinese stores. They have it as well for prices in between that range. And the great thing about White Mountain Knives is you can save 10% off that price, which with my code CCE, which makes it $30.59 for this knife. That's a pretty good price. The Canadian amount, I've got it on the screen as well. Since it's a slip joint knife, it's totally able to pass across the border into Canada, no questions, no problems. The one thing is White Mountain Knives is sold out, except for the orange one with that Western tanto, at least the moment I'm recording this on March 27th. The orange tanto one is the only one they've got in stock. But on each of their items, if it's out of stock, you've got a notify me button. It's an orange link just above it. You put in your email address, hit that orange button, and you'll get an email as soon as it's back in stock with no obligation to buy it. So that's pretty good. So without any further yakety yak, let's get to the table and take a good look at this thing. Keep watching. Okay, here is the knife. Most people are most interested in the blade, so there you go. We've got satin finish on it, full flat grind. Got an odd shaped hole there, that's for the nail nick or for the grabbing. You don't need to use your nail. It's a pretty strong back spring though, so when it's open it wants to stay open, and if it goes closed there's a half stop, so that's good. And there's a stop inside there that hits in right here, so your cutting edge does not hit the steel back there, so that's quite well done. The badging on the knife, we've got the rattlesnake logo right there, 14C28N. TwoSun made it nice and small on there, which I like. On the other side here, we've got the TwoSun logo, nice and small. I like how the badging is not very big on here. We've got sort of a spear point kind of tip on this blade. Very nicely done. I'll give you all the dimensions a little bit later on. The sharpener's choil, very well done. And it cuts quite well. It's not too thick behind the grind, and actually quite thin, and it cuts very well. It's reasonably comfortable in the hand for a multi-tool to cut with, because these tools over here, the scissors and the saw are fairly close to the same height, hanging out of that handle there. It works quite well, right or left-handed, and I'm fond of it. So let's close that up. You'll notice the lanyard hole is sticking out the end here. It's built into the back spring of the blade, so that's always there. You're not going to get rid of that unless you grind it down, of course. We've got a pair of scissors here. There's a nail nick right there for you to lift it open, and you've got scissors. They've got a nice strong spring back here, and they cut quite well. You would be surprised at how often you could use a pair of scissors if you don't carry one. And the scissor cuts really well. Let's just grab some paper here. These are my notes, so I don't want to cut it up too much, but just cuts really well. No problem at all with the scissor. The spring tension is really good, and it simply works. We've got a saw blade here, and hopefully I can roll some B-roll in here as well so you can see it in use. It's not very long here, so this is not a very useful thing. You can do a little bit of saw cutting with it. It's sharp enough, definitely. It sharpens quite well. We've got teeth that cut on the pull and the push, so that's really good. We've got a blunt tip, so you're not going to hurt yourself with the tip of it. And the spine of the saw blade is thinner this way than the teeth, so it's not going to get bound up when you're sawing. So it's a really great saw, except for how short it is, but it has to be that short for this thing. So don't assume that if you've got, you know, a nice saw blade and stuff, that it's actually going to be very useful. It's going to be somewhat useful, but not very useful. So let's close that off there. That's almost everything. The last thing we've got on here is the awl. Unfortunately, I need some tools to open it up. I can't get a nail back in there and pull it open. And not because I don't have nails, it's because the spring tension on this thing is very tight. Too tight. It makes it unusable. Out in the field, if you don't have pliers, at least this one, you're never going to get that awl open. It's fairly well sharpened. There's a hole there for sewing. So it's a decent awl, except for the fact that the back spring on it is brutally strong. I just cannot open it up. I broke my nail a couple times during my testing, and I just gave up and, you know, grabbed a pair of pliers. Then I can hold on to it and pull it, and even then it's still hard. I controlled that as well as I could. It just has so much pull, and then once you overcome the spring tension, you know, it just comes flying open. Just listen to this as it closes. Yeah, it's a strong spring back there. That's pretty much it. We've got G10 on the handle scales. They're flat slab. They're well-rounded all over. Those are, I didn't measure that. That's a T8, and there's lots of play there. This is a T9. There you go. They are T9, which, if you've got a whole set of drivers, that's just fine. But if you don't, you need a T9. And then this one back here for this scale, that's a T6 in there. And button screw. Not bad. So that's how it's made. Let's go over some of the sizes and dimensions, at least the most important ones. How much does this thing weigh? It is 149 grams, 5 1/4 ounces. The blade, the cutting edge length, 73.2 millimeters, 2.88 inches. So you got lots of cutting edge. The blade length itself from tip to the handle is 75.4 millimeters, 2.97 inches. So it is within the 3-inch rules if that's what you have to live under. So that's good. The factory sharpness on this, 165 best. So just a little bit less sharp than the average of the knives that I review, but still quite sharp. The blade depth this way, 20.5 millimeters, 0.807 of an inch. How thin is it behind the grind? For most of it, it is right around 0.36 millimeters, 14,000ths of an inch, and it gets closer to 17,000ths of an inch right at the tip, just at that last little bit. The grind angles. Well, this side, it starts at 17.1 and goes to 17.2, so that's really well done. This one, it starts here at the tip at 15 degrees, but here goes 16.8, 17.1, and then, you know, that's it. That's about a little over 2 degrees variation along the length. So not bad. It's better sharpened than most knives that I've reviewed. The length of the handle, and I'm not counting the lanyard hole there, so basically the G10 on this side, because that's the bigger side, 98.8 millimeters, 3.89 inches. And the grip area, so if you've got this open, you know, the area to grip in here, that is about 8 centimeters, 3 1/4 inches. The thickness of the handle, not on the screws, just on the G10, 169.9 millimeters, 0.668 of an inch. The handle depth, so while you're trying to hold it, I'm going on the steel to the back, that is 28.4 millimeters, 1.12 inches. And when the knife is closed, well, it's just a little bit bigger because the blade comes out further. So that is 30.5 millimeters, 1.2 2 inches. And with the blade deployed, how big is that? That is 178 millimeters, 7.01 inches. So that's pretty standard. Like the saw blade, very much the same. It comes out a little bit further, but the cutting edge is almost the same as the blade, so very close. A little over 3 inches of the saw, but 3 inches of cutting. And the scissors, oh, I didn't measure how much cutting you've got there. It looks like about 1 inch. Whatever it actually is, I'll measure it and put it on the screen during editing. What do I think of this thing? Is it worth the price? If all you care about is the 3 main tools, the blade, the saw, and the scissors, then great, it's worth it. Because it's not a lot of money actually, and it's very sturdy, very durable. It does have a bit of weight to it, so it's going to add weight to whatever you're carrying, so it's not like a Victorinox, like where everything's really thin and light. And if you want the awl, this knife, this multifunction tool is a no-go, because that awl is, it's an all or nothing awl, and it's mostly nothing, not so much awl. Trying to do a play on words. Sorry about that. So I really dislike that awl. They just could have left it out completely or made it better. And make it better would be preferred because it'd be easy enough for them to put it in there. So other things that I like, the lanyard option is good. It's big enough out there, but it's not hard or sharp on the end anywhere. You know, it's not annoying where it is. So if you don't use lanyards, that's fine. So it's a very sturdy, strongly built thing. Too strongly here. I've gone over that a couple times. It's decent. The blade is the king of this thing. I really like this blade a lot. You know, with a full flat grind, you can puncture with it, you can slice with it, you can cut with it. It's nice and thin, so you can sharpen this thing loads of times before it gets too thick. The sharpener's choil is ideal. It's just done right. The blade is awesome. Yeah, the badging, I wouldn't have minded if it was on the Ricasso instead of there, but I'm not going to complain too much because it's quite small. Stonewash would have been better? Yeah, of course. And if they would have had it in stock when I wanted it, when I ordered it, I would have got the digital camo, because that's, yeah, it just looks nicer in my mind. But maybe you want something that's high visibility, and in that case, the orange is great. Now, I wouldn't mind the Western Tanto version, but I prefer a nice drop point blade like this, a nice spear point tip. It works well. I'll leave links down below so you can find it easily. I don't do very many videos of multi-tools, but every once in a while you'll see one on this channel. And we just saw this one. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks to my Patreon supporters and my YouTube members. You guys are great. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting. Those things are all important. They all really do help, and I appreciate it very much. And remember, friends, cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye for now.